Hey guys, can y'all hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
I can hear you.
That's what it was. I was titled as Jennifer Johnson and she was on mute, but that's me.
Yeah.
The one, the only.
Man, it's been kind of a circus this morning. Good morning. I'm gonna take a minute and close the doors so I can get loud. Y'all know I'm loud. All right, so we got a couple people coming in. Good morning, everybody. We are just gearing up. Let's see. Rita is a genius, and she said, just flip my camera. So I'm trying to figure out how to do that. I don't know. How many people do we have on this morning? Looks good. Richie Newman, Pam Ridgel, Charles. I don't know how to say your last name, Charles. Popo Vinny, Austin. Who's on the iPhone?
Jessica Judson. I don't know why it's showing an iPhone instead of my name. I don't know.
That's okay, as long as we know you're there. Okay. So we're gonna give it one more minute just to make sure I don't lock anybody out of our Zoom. And make sure everybody is able to see. The laptop it was not plugged in over the weekend. So I don't know how this is gonna work, to be honest with you. I can't move the laptop. One person is waiting. Let's see. I kind of need a driver, like somebody who's going to be like in charge of the laptop. Okay, awesome. So it is 9:05. We're going to go ahead and get started. This is Ignite, part of our Skills to Spark a Great Career. This is part of the Elementals session. Remember, this is a new Ignite. And so this portion is about prospecting. Let me see if I got my clicker to work. I'll this technology is great, right? Guess it needs a new battery. Okay.
I have to do it on your computer. I feel like they did it on their computer, like next. I don't know.
That just makes sense. Do you know how to flip the camera on this specific machine?
I was trying to look for it.
Hmm.
That's a regular camera. I feel like you have to flip it on the Zoom. Click on the Zoom, bottom. Let's see.
Oh, I just did something. So right here.
No, that's just where's that?
Okay, well,
Can we get her,
yeah, do you mind?
Thank you.
Who is that? Oh, okay. I'm trying to figure out how to flip the camera.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay.
Oh,
Sorry. It's okay.
all right. Do you have any controls? Do you know?
Controls for what?
Like of the screen.
Hey, Renee, good morning.
Any host privileges?
I believe, well, maybe not. Maybe Anthony has it. No?
Oh, here we go. More.
We'll just make do.
Oh wait, here we go. Video front camera. There you go.
Perfect.
I just
Thank
couldn't
you.
see it behind the thing.
What was on
It was under the video controls for Zoom and it said front camera, but it was hidden really, really well. It was really hidden. So let's see. Okay, guys, can everybody hear me? Guys and girls?
Loud and clear.
Sure.
Yes.
Sure.
Perfect, perfect. I'm gonna ask you just a favor. If when you're at, wherever you are, your home offices or however, if the background gets noisy, if the dog needs to bark or the kids need cereal or whatever they need, just mute yourself. I have limited control here, so we'll be doing basically the best we can do. My name is Leslie Ortego. I am the rainmaker for Lanyap Property Group. We mainly sell in Hammond, Livingston, and West St. Tammany, but I do have referral partners all over the state. I'm a really young team. I just started my team at the beginning of March, and we are growing rapidly. I haven't been to Mandeville in a long time, so I'm really happy to see everybody. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about lead generation. Prospecting is really a sweet spot for me. I feel like if I can do anything good in this business, prospecting is one of them, one of those skills. So we're going to talk about prospecting. It's basically the source of all your business. No matter what you do, you have to be able to lead generate for both buyers and sellers. Let's see, we got one more person coming in. Awesome. Welcome. Good morning. Let's see. So today we're going to talk about connecting prospecting to lead generation. And we're going to talk about prospecting, marketing, the difference between leads and contacts, how to cultivate those leads, and then also what that means after you cultivate that business through appointments, active buyers, active sellers, being under contract, and then closing. So there's two things that we're going to focus on, and one is a message and the other is a method. And so your message is something that you bring to your lead generation. And then your method is what you're using as your form of lead generation. So for instance, I'll give you just an example. If you are actively prospecting in a neighborhood where you just put a house for sale, then the message would be to the people that you speak to that there is a just listed home in the market, right? And so that's the message. The method would be, are you sending out direct mail? Are you doing an open house? Are you circle prospecting? Are you targeting people on Facebook? That would be the method. Anybody have questions about a message or a method so far? If you do have questions, let me know. Also, I don't know if y'all know this, but I used to be the director of our productivity coaching department, and I still do coach agents outside of the market center. So if you do have questions, I'm open to fielding questions after this call, definitely. So this is an interesting screenshot because we're going to talk about marketing versus prospecting. And does anybody understand the difference between marketing and prospecting? Ladies? Anybody? You do, Renee. I see you on Facebook. You know the difference.
Marketing, displaying, you're marketing something.
Essentially, that's right. You're right. So marketing is a way that you can get business, but it is money intensive. It is passive, and your results are long-term. So for instance, if you're going to farm a neighborhood, and that is a form of marketing, right? If you were doing direct mail to the neighborhood, you are probably not going to get instant business. What you're doing is you're branding yourself and you're really looking towards the long game. It costs a lot of money, but it is passive. So those mailers are out there working with your name while you're doing other things, but it is long-term results. Now, it's not to say that we don't want to use marketing at all, but what we really need is immediate results. Can anybody raise your hand on that one? Because I know I need immediate results, right? And so prospecting is time intensive. It is proactive, and the results are immediate. For instance, if I sit down in my office and I make 25, maybe 50 phone calls a day, chances are I'm going to find a buyer or a seller, right? If I send text messages from my phone, 25 to 50 a day, chances are I can find a referral from my sphere of influence. So that's why those results are immediate. So the thing is, in real estate, no matter what you do, you're going to pay with things two ways. You're going to pay through sweat equity or check equity. So many times in your career, you don't have check equity. So what are you paying for things with? Sweat equity. And that's a lot of times what people have to do. That's what I have to do. That's what I built my business on, was sweat equity. Now, when I got to the point where I had something and I could use check equity, I made sure that I was smart with my money so that I could leverage that money so that I didn't have to put in as much sweat equity. But guess what? That will run out as well. So you really need to find a balance of the two. That is definitely a good practice to have. So as far as prospecting is concerned, we're going to talk about using the phone. We're going to talk about face-to-face and where to find sellers, where to find buyers. And we're going to talk about a few things pretty deep, a couple of topics. So one is listings without an agency. Does anybody know what that is? You guys?
Like the one client.
Yeah, so it's not real common. You're very close. It's not real common in this area. So You can do a non-exclusive right to list, and that would make those clients, those potential leads or prospects, somebody that you could call on. Now, Louisiana has some different laws around that, so we don't see those a lot. But let me tell you what we do see. What do we see? For sale by owners. Has anybody ever used a site called FizzBonanza? FizzBonanza is a free lead data aggregator, and all it does is pull for sale by owners with a link to the posting, with their name, address, phone number, a link to the posting, so that you can work those for sale by owners on a daily basis. The other thing is expired listings, right? So every morning when we wake up as agents, we should have an MLS list being run to us that says, here are your expired listings for the day. How many people have that list set up? Think about that. When you walk into your office in the morning, you could have all of your expireds and your withdrawns sitting in your email, run as a list automatically by the MLS. So that way you can see, oh, we had 10 expired listings today. We had 3 expired listings today. And you can run that for withdrawns and expireds.
What's that
So
website
keep that
called?
in mind. Say again?
What's that website called? FizzBonanza?
FizzBonanza.com. Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's a free site. It's very, very good. So the other thing is circle prospecting. Circle prospecting is really awesome once you start using that muscle. And it is a muscle, by the way, because if the first time you do it, you will want to vomit. Just keep doing it. You're going to live. But you'll be circle prospecting in these ways. For instance, if there is a high-end apartment complex, what do we know about those people? They don't have a house. How much rent are they paying?
A lot.
In this area, an average of $1,500 a month. What kind of house can they get for $1,500 a month?
130.
Yeah, pretty nice house, honestly. Better than the apartment they're living in, right? Do you think they always want to live in that apartment complex? No, they're probably going to be there for a year. And then on month 8, they're going to say, I want a dog. I want a backyard. I want to be able to grill without my neighbors looking at me, right? And so you can work apartment complexes the same way you can work neighborhoods. So if we know this one complex is all renters, don't you think that's basically sitting ducks for agents who want to put people in first-time homes, right? The other thing that's interesting is most of the high-end apartment complexes, what do you have to do to get in one of those complexes? What do you have to have? Good credit, you know? So think about, if you're talking about circle prospecting, phone calls, direct mail, think about your apartment complexes. The other thing is recently sold listings. If you have a listing and it has been sold, you might have buyers from that listing that are still looking to be in that neighborhood. I just had a listing. One of my buyer's agents, actually team agents now is what we call them, Jordan Harwell, had a listing in Country River. We got about 42 leads for that one 4-bedroom, 1,500 square foot house. So what did I do? I did a prospecting. I sent out a mailer to all of the houses there. And then I called and said, hey, have you ever thought about selling your home? We have a buyer who's interested in that area, and the house she wanted to be in is already sold, but she's not given up. Are you interested in learning how much equity you might have in your home? So something to think about. The other thing is recently listed properties. How are you telling people that the property's listed? So if you're in a neighborhood and you just put a property live, what are you telling the neighborhood? How do they know it's live? Are you doing mailings? Are you door knocking? Are you circle prospecting? Chances are one of the people in that neighborhood have a family, friend, daughter, sister, brother. Somebody wants to live in that neighborhood and be near them. So telling the neighbors about what's available in that neighborhood is super important. The other thing is, what happens if somebody wants to sell, right? And they're going to be interviewing agents. Well, now they don't have to because you're already the mayor of the neighborhood. You already have the listing, right? And they're going to watch your work. And then if you're in touch with them, they're going to go ahead and do business with you instead. So some of the more long-term ways to effectively prospect is through community outreach, through charity and volunteer work. Now, this is also building up your community and building up your relationships. But the thing about it is you cannot do this one time. Do this one time, you're wasting your time. You need to find a charity or a volunteer opportunity that you can stay committed to through the long term, right? Because I would rather spend $100, $1 at a time, 100 times than $100 one time. Does that make sense to everybody? And what about key relationships? You know, in my coaching, what I found is I come from a corporate world. I was in the hotel business. So what I had to do was call on corporations, right? And when I got into the real estate world and started coaching those people, what I found out is realtors don't talk to businesses. Why not? Why don't we think about that? Why don't we incorporate business to business sales in our daily life? When you go to, let's just say, let's use an oil change place, Speedy Oil Change, and there's 14 people working there. Do you think those people have to have a place to live? And you were just able to hit one business with 14 people as compared to one house with one person. Does that make sense? The other thing is when you talk to corporations and managers, home ownership is a reason for people to stay in their jobs. People who own homes stay more faithful and loyal to the job they have when they buy the house. You know why? They have a mortgage now. It causes stability. It's good for our communities. It's also good for our businesses. So some of those key relationships that we should be building as realtors are corporations, builders, banks. Do you ever think if a real estate agent worked at a bank? But they don't. So if the bank does mortgages, where is the mortgage officer in the bank sending their business? Are they just picking people out of a hat? Do they just tell their clients to find an agent? How can you build that relationship, right? How can you be consistent with that banker? Third-party data companies. So I believe that you can have a key relationship with companies like this. I'm not 100% sure that it's something that we have in our area, but if you think about people like the National Federation of Small Business Owners, the American Business Owners Association, the Chamber of Commerce, business networking, like those, you can kind of group those into third-party professional networking and networking events all at the same time. Investors, a lot of people make money with investors, right? So investors are coming in looking for properties, and they will sometimes have an agent working in different areas. So Renee, you would be the agent in Mandeville, and Rita, you would be the agent in Laplace. Natasha, did I get it right? Yeah, there you go. So you would be in Mandeville. So how do you find investors? Has everybody seen the little signs on the side of the road that said, "We buy ugly houses"? Call them. What happens if you don't get an ugly house? What do you do with the pretty ones? What do you do with the ones who aren't ready to take your wholesale offer? What do you do with the ones that don't have any equity? Can we partner? Can I send you equity properties? Can you send me non-equity properties? Do you see how that partnership might make sense? So teaching and speaking opportunities. The truth of the matter is I'm a teacher at heart. I'm a speaker, I'm a teacher, I'm a coach, I'm a trainer, but I'm not doing this for my health, right? Even though I do like it, the reason that people within the KW world give back to others and teach others, that's part of our culture, but we're also able to build our referral network. So what is it that you can teach to give back to agents? Because we all know that whatever you give will come back to you, right? In the business world, givers gain. So go out with the intention to do good for good people, and those good people will come back to you through referrals. So think about that. Number 6 is meals, and I'm gonna have y'all just kind of work with me on this one. What's this mean? Anybody have any ideas?
What, network? You ever take someone out for lunch and just build it down and
Yeah.
rapport, build a relationship?
Possibly so. I was kind of looking over the instructor materials and thinking this could really be a lot of things. One of the things that I've done, and we're going to start doing this again, is we give lunch away once a month to a business in the area. And so we run a little giveaway. You know, they have to do something, share our Facebook page or whatever. And then we're going to give away, you know, tacos for 4 at Tacos and Beer. And so that way you can help the business in the community. You can also get some exposure that way. But I think meals is like a really simple word that you could really use to do a lot of things with. And so I think you have a good point too, Rita. So door-to-door canvassing, door knocking. Raise your hand if you door knock. I love door knocking. I have a lot of people that say, oh, I'm not going to be door knocking during COVID. Why not? What is hurting you? I mean, wear a mask, don't be personal, don't be like all up in their business, but you can put door knockers on handles, you can work your neighborhood, you can still be socially distanced and safe. But everybody's working from home, so this is a great opportunity, right? Door knocking also is really good between the hours of 4 and 6 p.m. when people are coming home from work and there are kids in the driveway, and it's just really good to come out. Sometimes we door knock. I'll put a shoulder bag on and I'll have snacks and coloring pages and market reports and business cards in my bag. And as I'm walking through my neighborhood, I will offer the kids treats with mom's permission, of course, and then just ask, you know, hey, if you're not working with a real estate agent and you'd like to know what kind of equity you have in your house, I'd love to be able to help you. No, you know, no stress, no commitment, no strings. That's just part of the service that I provide our community. And sometimes you will run across listings and buyers there, but mostly people are interested in the market. Don't you find like people will say, like, what's going on in real estate? What's happening? Like people really want to know. So the other thing is networking events, and that's some of what I just talked about. So different industry associations, Chamber of Commerce, your local BNI, Business Networking International, different events like that. What are you connected to? Are you guys doing any type of networking events? Something else is booths and kiosks. And nobody thinks about this, and it's interesting to me. So my first year in real estate, I would do bridal shows. And yes, it cost me a ton of money, but I also made a ton of money. Because what do? Think about the thought process of a bride and a groom. So they're going to get married, and then what's their dream? Right, they want a white picket fence, they want a house. And so isn't it just a great place to be at a bridal show where brides are living their dream and you're able to fulfill the dream of their family right after they get married? And so set up what that looks like. Talk about, you know, how they can convert a honeymoon fund to a house fund. Partner with a lender. I used to go with a Barbie dream home. I used to have a sign that said, this too can be yours. Ask me how to buy a house with 0 money down. And people would flock to my booth. I would give away stuff. I would give away different things. But why aren't we taking advantage of these booths and these kiosks? I have a booth at the Madisonville Farmers Market. There's 600 people that come through that market in any given Sunday, and it costs me $20 to sit there. Right now I have a coloring contest for Halloween that I use, and I don't care where I go. If somebody says I can put you in front of 600 people for 20 bucks, I'm going, right? Doesn't that make sense? And so if I don't have enough contracts, if I'm not able to do open houses effectively right now, where else can I see some people? And what better way than an outdoor market, right? If you don't have one in your area, put together a vendor market, put together a real estate vendor market, put together a direct sales vendor market, do it in your driveway. So what? You only get 35 people. That's a lot of people when it comes to real estate, right? Because they probably all have to live in a house at some point in their life or sell a house. The other thing is walk-ins. We don't get a ton of walk-ins in real estate in these areas, but we do get phone calls. And I know some agents who've built businesses off of being the first one at the market center. Does anybody know those agents? And look, more power to them, right? If I can take a sign call a week by just getting to work on time, how is that helping me improve my business? I think that's pretty smart, actually. And the other thing that's interesting to me is we have 280 agents. Only about 100 of them are actually in production earning a living. And there's only 1 or 2 agents that actually come to the market center every day at 8. And those agents are getting business, just so you know. And they're probably going to hate me for saying that. Okay, so let's keep on going. If nobody has any questions about prospecting, you know the old saying in Keller Williams that most any answer to any question is lead gen, right? That's basically what this is. So what we're going to do is just take a deep dive into some prospecting methods. And we're going to talk about 4 methods. So the trick for any real estate agent is to be prospecting based, but marketing enhanced. Do y'all understand what that means? So what it means is you want to be consistently prospecting with a background of marketing. So right, your marketing is enhancing your prospecting. So when you send out a flyer to the neighborhood, that's great. But how you nail it home is when you call Mr. or Mrs. Johnson and say, hey, my name's Leslie. I'm a local real estate agent. I wanted to let you know that your neighbor's house just went for sale. Well, the same day I had dropped a door knocker or done a direct mail piece, and now they've heard my name on the phone. They've also seen my name in print. And now all of a sudden I'm everywhere to them, right? Am I really? No, but that's their perception of success. And that's how you stay prospecting based and marketing enhanced. So we're going to talk about door knocking, agent to agent referrals, open houses, and then we're going to talk about social media as well. So door knocking, I'm a fan of door knocking. I actually build business plans off of door knocking. When I have people who I talk with, agents who I talk with, who are like, not calling them, not going to do it, not going to pick up the phone, not doing it. Then I say, what are you going to do? And if they say I'll door knock, I can build a whole $100,000 plan around door knocking if they'll just do it. Were you in my door knocking class one time, Renee?
Oh, yeah.
I think you were. Yeah.
All last summer, was it?
Something like that. Yeah. So if anybody wants that plan about how to build a $100,000 business on door knocking, just let me know. You can email me. So the way it goes is you approach the door, you act, you ask, and then you advance. The most important thing here, there's 2 very important things here. And one is taking the action, right? Because a lot of times we stay busy in our head, but we actually don't take the action to actually get the results. But the next step is if you door knock, what's the single most important thing that you can do after the fact?
After you've done all the steps,
Follow
Pretty
up.
much.
put them in a smart plan.
Follow up. Who said follow up?
I did.
Who's I?
Julie.
Okay, that was good. So follow up. How are you tracking them? How are you following up with them? How are you staying in communication with them? Are you dropping a note? Are they in your command database? Are you sending them a recipe card? I don't know what you do to make it yours. But a lot of people will go door knocking and then they're like, oh yeah, I think I met him like last year. I door knocked. And now he's selling his house with, you know, Alice McNeely. If y'all know who she is, you'll know. She's a good girl though. So next, agent to agent referrals. Who takes referrals? I know I do. Right now I have 5 referrals. I have a referral in, well, I'm sending people referrals. I have 2, 3 referrals in the West Bank. I have 2 referrals in Mississippi, and I have 1, I guess that's more. I have 1 referral in Baton Rouge. And so what I needed to do was find people to take the business that I got in those places, but the same thing can happen. Here's where I think agents in Keller Williams make a mistake, because command is great when it comes to referrals, right? You understand how command works when it comes to referrals, but here's what you have to notice. You don't know where people are moving, do you? Do you know, like, do people from St. Louis move to Louisiana more times than people from Vegas? We don't know. We don't have that data. That's very hard to contemplate. But you know what we do know? Baton Rouge, Slidell, the West Bank, Mississippi, like within 2 hours of us. That's where you need to be focused on your agent referrals, right? Because people are more likely to be moving in and out of those areas. So that's when you have to find those agents. That's when you start to build your referral base. Because here's the deal. I might drive an hour to take a listing, but will I drive 2 hours? Probably not. And so think about that when it comes to building your agent to agent referrals. And when you're talking about your prospecting, your plan, your lead generation plan, is agent to agent referrals on that plan? And how are you effectively nurturing and watering that idea? So think about that. So this is using command referrals for prospecting. And so this is a great technology resource that we have available to us, but just don't think about state to state. Think about our area. What's happening in Louisiana? Like right now during COVID, I know we have a bunch of people trying to get out of the city, and what are they buying? They're buying land, right? And so keep that in mind when you're building your marketing ideas for agent to agent referrals. Let's see, where do I go here? Open houses. Who's doing open houses right now? Anybody? Rita is? Anybody in our online audience doing open houses?
I am.
Nope. So open houses can be awesome resources. There's also a business plan that we worked up, I think probably 3 years ago. I've had 2 agents take advantage of it. Open house business plan, right? So if you're doing open houses, you have to be doing open houses at what they call a 5th or 6th or 7th level. If you are putting that house in the MLS on Friday and then going with a pack of cheese and crackers the next day, you probably aren't hitting it home with open houses. You should be getting at least 3 pieces of business off of every open house, but your open house strategy needs to be specific. The other thing is, what's the most important thing to do after you're finished your open house? Follow up. The fortune is in the follow-up, and that's very cliche, but it's very true for agents, because what we do is we stay focused on low-hanging fruit. And when that low-hanging fruit comes in, what do? We forget about the people we needed to follow up. That's one reason our command database is so important to us, because we can put that follow-up on automatic. It can also give us ideas on, hey, you need to follow up with her today. You haven't been in touch in 90 days. So keep that in mind. Rita, when's the last open house you did?
Like 2 weeks ago in Madisonville.
Oh, Madisonville.
It was during
Awesome.
Thanksgiving, so we had like 2 people.
Okay, so 2 is better than none. But in Louisiana, we do have to prepare. Who's playing today, Saints or LSU? Is it a good thing, or how does that work?
Jennifer, what's the best way to get the open houses?
So if you don't have any of your own listings, we have 100 agents in our KW Market Center that would probably love for you to do open houses for them. And so how long have you been an agent?
A couple of months.
Okay, awesome. One of your best sources of business are going to be getting to know the agents who are already successful. And because what they will do is they will give you leases, they will give you extra buyers, they will give you land, they will let you do open houses. So that's one thing that I would tell you is go to our roster and start to network and try to get to know some agents who have listings that you might like to hold open.
Okay.
Is that helpful?
Yes, I just, I've just been kind of trying to figure out the best way to do it, because I've asked around to do some open houses and that hasn't worked. So I was just trying to figure out a better way to actually get to do some open houses.
So what I would do is I would look at new listings that come up within our KW office, and I would call those agents or try to meet them in person. Who's your coach?
Dion Collins.
Yeah.
I think They're from Baton Rouge.
Oh, you're in Baton Rouge?
Yes, yes, sorry.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Rita. Thank you very much. So there, I don't know, do y'all use the locker room?
Yes.
So there is a couple of courses within the locker room material that talks about effective ways to get fifth, sixth, and seventh level open houses. And that's a really, really good class to check out maybe in the evening time when,
Okay.
I know it's hard to say when we don't have anything to do because we always have things to do, right? But that's a really good resource that you can try out.
And then you could go to the IKW at the Market Center News.
Mhm.
And people in your area will post that they need agents to do open houses.
Yeah, could you hear Rita?
No, I couldn't. I'm sorry.
So Rita gave a good little tip that if you go to your MyKW portal,
Mhm.
on the Market Center News, there's a place where you can post. And a lot of agents will post like, hey, I'm looking for an agent to do an open house on this day. And so that might be an opportunity as well. They also do that on our closed Facebook group. And in addition to people posting who need open houses, agents have gone there and said, hey, I'm available for open houses on these days too. So hopefully that helps.
I didn't know if that would be all right to do. I thought about doing that, but I was wondering if that was okay to do.
Well, I can't speak for your market center, but I can speak for ours, and we're good with it. So I can't imagine they wouldn't allow you to do that.
Okay.
Yeah. So open houses are a great way. I have an agent that is one of my peers out on the West Coast. She does nothing but open houses. She will do 4 open houses every weekend, 44 weeks a year. Her average sale is 600,000 and she makes a ton of money. She doesn't cold call. She doesn't send mailers. She doesn't do anything. She does open houses. That's what she does. So do not shake your head at open houses because they can build your buyer business. They can also help supplement your seller business as well. So prospecting, when you are prospecting, adding contacts and follow-up to stay top of mind, adding those contacts to your smart plans is imperative. If you're not using command, that's okay, but what are you using? What is your system? You have to have a system in place. Typically, when an agent is not performing, if they're within their first year of real estate and they're not able to meet their income goals, they're usually missing a system, right? After their second year, if they're ready to hit their second level goal, they're missing a system or a person. But in your first year, you're usually missing a system. So what system are you use to increase your prospecting and keep those people close to you? So once again, we're, let me get back on the right. So when we're talking about social media, does everybody have a business Facebook page? Yes? So here's what you need to know. Facebook's a free resource, right? Make sure that when you're prospecting, you are connecting with people on a social media level as well. Your personal social media should be about 80% personal and about 20% business. People are doing business with you because of why you're in business, not because you're a real estate agent, right? And so what you need to do is you need to be able to effectively tell your story through your social media so that your fans, your friends, your family can see you. So next we're going to talk about taking action to develop a plan. So statistically, Keller Williams has found out that most of the time, 80% of agents got 90% of their business from 5 sources or less. So think about that. Think about all the things we could do. There's probably 300 ways we could get business, maybe more. So what you need to do is look at all those ways and then dial that down and identify 5 things that you're going to be doing to make sure that you build a strategy around those things and focus on those 5 things. So here are some of the things so that you can prioritize and take action and develop your lead generation plan. And so you can see that there's a thing, there's the list. The next one is to prioritize, and then the next one is to stay focused on. And so that's a little bit of an insight on how you can develop your lead generation plan, action plan, right? Who has a 1-3-5 around their lead gen plan? Anybody? Anybody online? Okay. So a 1-3-5 to focus on your lead gen is really very successful. I would encourage you guys to look at that. You can find the 1-3-5 on KW Connect. And you can also, if you ask your coach about a 1-3-5, they can talk to you more about how to implement that system. So we're going to talk a little bit about how has your thinking changed around real estate and lead generation. And I'm going to talk specifically to Renee because Renee was here. I kind of was here when you first came in, right? And when you first came in, did you know or have any idea that real estate was mostly lead generation?
I thought you joined the brokerage and somehow or another work trickled to you some way.
That's what everybody thinks. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. And so based on what you know, how do you feel about real estate now that you know that it's a little bit harder than standing at the phone or, you know, walking through the door?
The reality of my life, it's just going to be a slower process to get to where I want it to be,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not going to not get to where I want it to be.
Perfect.
It's just going to be a different walk.
It's going to look differently, right? Got it. I totally understand that. So how do you feel about your lead generation methods today as compared to a year ago?
Well, I definitely know that I know what I need to do and I can see the vision.
Mm-hmm.
And now I just need to find out where and how I can implement that in a constructive, consistent, focused.
Got it. Got it.
And
Okay.
I see that it works, obviously. The systems are there, it works.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to do it.
Right. Right. Well, thank you for sharing that. I'm kind of picking on you just a little bit, but
No, it's all
just,
good.
I know you always have a good attitude and a can-do attitude too. So these are something this is what we call a 10-4. 10-4s have been introduced to Keller Williams across the country over and over again. You can find a 10-4 actually on KW Connect. And so basically what this is to simplify your day. When you prospect, you should not be finished prospecting until you have done 10 things in 4 categories. Essentially your 10-4. So 10 contacts added, 10 conversations a day about real estate. It has to start with real estate or end with real estate. It has to be either face-to-face or ear-to-ear. The other thing is 10 handwritten notes, and then 10 home previews per week. So if you are making sure to have all that done in a day, I can guarantee that you will find business. Now, if you do more than this, I can guarantee that you will have success at a high level. The other things are scripts. So we have talked about your lead generation. During that lead generation, we're going to talk a little bit about uncovering your motivation, because this is how you make a conversion, right? If you don't know the buyer or the seller's motivation, how can you best help them? The other thing is identifying objections, closing deals, and then speaking in terms the customer understands. And then, of course, building confidence for that client to trust you. 2 things I want to focus on is, one is a lot of agents, especially the more successful they get, they start to speak in realtor lingo. And that's very confusing. Do you know the average person does not understand what a CMA is? You say, oh, I can do a CMA for you. And they're like, I got nothing. They don't know. They don't know. Even if you call it a comparable marketing analysis, they still don't really know. You have to talk to the general public basically like you would talk to a kindergartner. right? You want to make sure they understand those things. So one resource that, we have scripts on KW Connect. We have a ton of scripts through our leadership. We have a ton of scripts through the locker room. But one resource that I like to use is, and I'm typing it into my phone. Yeah, it's called Callster.io. So it's CALLSTER.io. And so if you log on to this, it's a really good program. Once you put your email in to get the scripts, and it's free every time, you can go on and get your scenario. For instance, the no pressure sales call, the unlimited presentation, the Fizz Bonanza script, the for sale by owner master first sales call. There's RedX scripts, there's KW scripts, there's scripts from all the big guys across the country. You can not only pull them up on your screen while you're using the phone, but you can also print them and make them personal to you. So that's been a resource that I've used for years. Hopefully you'll find that as a good little nugget of information. So have you guys been doing role plays since we're on Zoom in Ignite?
On scripts.
Yeah, in Zoom? Okay,
Some people have been doing them in break rooms and then some people just do it together.
okay, perfect. We're gonna circle back on the scripting. Who has script partners? Anybody? Vincent, you have a script partner? Julie? What is your name
Yes,
again?
we do. I think we were all assigned them yesterday, pretty much.
Okay, awesome. I love hearing that. Script practice is so important because it just helps you to learn the language of business in real estate, and then you can more effectively have a conversation with someone. So do y'all have homework from your last Ignite? 411. Was everybody able to finish their 411? No? What's holding you back, Pam? Wait. I can't hear you.
Unmute yourself.
Myself. There we go.
There you go. Hey.
Hey, I have it right here, but it's hard for me to break it down and come up with, the actions that I need to do.
On your
I don't know.
411?
Yes, it's just,
So I've been using a 411 now for about 4 years. Once you get, because when I finally got mine done, just so you know, it took about 45 sheets of paper, a pen, a Sharpie, a box of Kleenex, and a big old box of chocolate in the middle of my bed at about 10 p.m. I cried. And it was very weird, but that's what it took me to get through it. Because A, it's hard for me to focus. B, I want to do everything. I'm that person. I get shiny object syndrome. And so for me to be able to focus my thoughts and actually look at what I want to do, why, what's my personal, what's my business, it was pretty deep. So if you need help with that, I would definitely talk to your coach because they are trained to make sure that those 411s are done. And listen, this is not something we did in first grade, second grade, or even high school, right? Nobody really taught us to dream. They all told us to stop dreaming. After we were 18, they were like, be realistic, right? And so now what we need to do is go back to the whole, how can I dream on what my life is supposed to be? And that's one of the things the 411 will help you do.
okay,
So don't give up. That's my 2 cents.
Wow.
Thank you.
So let's talk about a couple of things. I want to make sure everybody understands where to get help, right? And some agents have been here for a little bit longer. Some agents have been here for less time. So one is, I believe does everybody online have a coaching department at their market center?
Yes.
Just raise your hand or give me a shout out.
Yes,
you
we do
have-
in Baton Rouge.
You do, okay, perfect. So if you are somebody who does not have access to a coach in some way, please reach out to your leadership. You're always welcome to call me if you need help. You can find me most anywhere, but my name is Leslie Ortego. You can connect with me on Facebook. I sent everybody Facebook messages so that we could connect before this class. So the other way that you can get some help is through Command, right? If anybody's doing the 66-day challenges with either Marty Miller, Jay Cernak, or Lori Ballin, those are great ways to get some help after hours. The other way is to go to Connect. Anything you need, KW related, honestly, it's on Connect. And you can probably find the resource on Connect sooner than you can find a person to get you to the resource. So I just want to make sure that everybody's connected. And then I want to revisit some lead generation options, because I really think having a lead generation plan is really the most important thing. So by show of hands, who has a lead generation plan in place, like right now? Rita's raising her hand inside. Natasha's raising her hand. Who else? Anybody? So let's talk about one very effective lead generation option. And I'm going to ask Rita, what's one lead generation option that you utilize?
I mean, it took me a while to do it, but marking it in my calendar, and setting it.
Okay.
And I go in the office, my resources, and I have the call list and everything that I'm gonna do,
Mhm.
and I'll call them. They don't answer, I'll leave a voicemail or a message, and then I put them on a smart plan.
Mhm.
And I just checked my smart plan messaging command, and I
Yeah.
got 3 messages back.
Oh, nice.
So
That's
it's
always
working.
good. Yeah. That's always good when you actually get a response and you're like, oh, thank you, Jesus. It worked. Yeah, totally. So, so who else has a lead generation plan in place? Who else raised their hand? Anybody? Natasha, what's one thing that you're doing to lead generate?
I've been doing the birthday lead generation,
Yeah, okay.
and I fill out cards for the whole month, for
Uh-huh.
everyone whose birthday is like in October.
Good practice.
And put a post-it on front of each one on when to mail it, so that it
Mhm.
arrives around right.
Yeah.
So,
I like that. I love it. And so do you get all the birthdays from Facebook?
Yeah.
Yeah, genius. What about you guys online? What's one lead generation method that you found success with? Anybody want to offer some input?
I use the Facebook ads a lot, and those seem to be pretty successful at times.
Okay, so David said Facebook ads. Good. Anybody else want to add to that?
I mean, I used my sphere of influence to call. That's it. I mean, just simple as that. And that's where I got, the business that I have from.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so calling your sphere of influence. Perfect. Anybody else?
And I also put a bulletin too, with a little sign in front of the hotel.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I saw Blake touched it his, I'm like, I'm gonna put mine on this side.
Uh-huh. I like it. Rita said that she put a sign in front of her hotel.
Take a picture and share it.
Oh, I did, it's on my social media.
Yeah, I like that. So what about any lead generation methods that you have questions about that you've maybe wanted to start, but you really don't know how or need some direction on how to do that? Anybody have any questions or anything like that? Not today?
Well, I'm trying to find out, like, as far as lead gen specifically, I don't know where my niche would be or where my strengths are. So like, as far as there's many different ways to prospect, I realize that, but is it open houses? Is it just calling my sphere of influence? I know it's not. Is it working with FSBOs? I mean, I don't know where my strengths lie in any of those categories. So I want to really find out so that way I can, you know, focus on that heavily.
What's your disc profile, Pam?
Excuse me. I think it was DI.
Okay, that's interesting. Good.
I
And
know,
so-
it was interesting to me too.
What's the best way to figure out what our strengths are, what we're good at?
Try them,
You gotta try them.
gotta try them,
And
right?
some of them might hurt, right? It's
Yes.
just like going to the gym. I'm like, you know, the first time, do you remember, I haven't been to the gym in like 75 years, so I don't know. But the first time you go to, I wasn't an aerobics instructor, believe that or not, for a very long time in my youth.
So was
Um,
I.
But do you remember the first time you go to work out, you're like, oh my God, this is awesome. I'm going to go do this. And then you're like lifting weights. Oh, dude, this is so easy. Right. And then the next day you vow death upon yourself. Like, I'm going to die. You have to fall on the toilet just to sit down. It hurts, right?
Yes.
So that's the same thing in real estate. You have to do the action to either build the confidence or figure out that you don't like it.
Mhm.
So until you do that, there's no
Yeah.
way to know.
I've only done
So-
one open house, and that was a long time ago when I first started, and it was a major failure.
Well, I mean, but was it?
Yes, I didn't have a single person show.
Okay, but did you hold the open house effectively?
Yes,
So,
I still went door knocking in the neighborhood and everything. I did everything I was told to do.
so I don't think that's a failure. I think that's the first time we've ever done anything. I mean, if you asked me right now to go shoot a 3-point shot, I might have an issue, right? And so that's the first time we've ever done anything. I can't count that as a failure. Now, if you've done open houses for 52 weekends in a year and you still haven't had one person come by, that would be a failure, right? But what I hear is you just haven't had enough practice. That's what I hear.
Okay. I always thought, even before I got into real estate, that I would enjoy doing open houses, and I still kind of believe that.
Okay, well.
I guess that made me shy away.
I mean, think about it. How many times have you driven a semi truck?
Never.
Okay, if I put you in the driver's seat right now, would you know what to do?
No.
There is no difference, right? How many times in your life have you done an open house?
Once.
Okay, well then you're still very much a novice. Sounds to me like you just need more practice to figure that out.
Mm.
I've done- I had 24 people come through and done an open house and had 0 people come.
There you
through.
go.
So it depends on what's going on in the community, the day you hold it. It depends on a lot.
It depends on a lot. That's right. It depends. The first and most important thing is, and I want y'all all to hear this, especially people who don't have listings. If you don't have listings right now and you're asking a more seasoned agent to help with a listing, don't let them give you the old, ugly listing that's been on the market for 167 days because it's overpriced, it smells like cat pee, and there's shag carpet in the bathroom. Because they will try to do that to you. You know that, right? And so what you want is brand new listing, really good traffic, popular, priced right, in a great price point, right? That's what you want. Because essentially you're fishing and the fish you catch are going to be based on the bait you use. Does that make sense? So if you're doing an open house and the house is 150,000, bank on the people coming to see that house can only afford 100. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with people who can only afford 100,000, but is that the bait you want to use? Do you understand what I mean?
Yes.
So people visit open houses they can't buy. So if you want a $250,000 buyer, do a $300,000 open house. It's a true statement. Watch. And then learn how to effectively do a 5th level, a 6th level, or a 7th level open house. One of the biggest mistakes I see in this area is not enough signage. Can people see from the road, from every direction, that there's enough signage? Did you bring invitations to everyone within a 40 neighbor or 100 neighbor radius. Because remember, aren't you more likely to come to a party if you're given an invitation? Am I right? So we don't want flyers. I don't want a flyer. I don't want to know about your open house. I don't care about your open house. Do I want an invitation to a party? Absolutely. Do not count me out. Do you understand the difference? So it makes a difference. The other thing is I hear agents say this all the time about open houses. Oh my God, it was such a waste of time. The only person that came around was like this little old lady. She's lived in the neighborhood for like 75 years and she's so nosy. Girl, be her friend. What are you talking about? She knows everybody in the neighborhood. She knows who's divorcing. She knows who's dying. She knows whose kids are bad. She knows everything in the neighborhood. Be her friend. Let her hang out with you. Why is she a problem for you? Give her extra cheese, whatever. Do what you got to do. Put her on your drip campaign. Talk to her once a quarter. Make her know that you're the mayor of your neighborhood, right? So Pam, it sounds to me like you're not taking enough action. So we need to get you in action mode.
Yeah, agreed.
What's that? Wasn't there like a 70s character, Action Jackson? Is that a thing? We need to get you moving. What about any other type of lead generation that you're either need to try, want to try, tried and failed, or have questions about? Anybody?
Leslie, I was just curious, when you have limited resources, when you're going towards your marketing stuff, what's the best way to effectively capitalize on your investment? Because there's so many different things. I know that you've got your free things that you can do as far as Facebook and door knocking, or limited expenditure, but what do you see as the best investment for a new agent to kind of get started and get kicked off?
So you probably don't want to hear this from me, and anybody who's ever coached with me before is probably knows the answer. So when I talk to new agents, my rule is you can't spend money until you make money. So there is no amount of money that's going to help you be an agent. There's just not. I see people who come up, they spend $1,500 on billboards. I have another agent who spent $400 on chapstick. That's a true story, by the way. And so none of these things help you build your business. The most effective, affordable, efficient, and easiest way to business is through this little thing right here. Anybody know what this is? This is your real estate lifeline. So if you're in a position where you can't make phone calls, a lot of people don't like to make cold calls. And they say, they usually use this. Tell me if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I want you to tell me. But they say, I don't really have a sphere of influence, which I say, that's not true. What you mean is you haven't talked to Aunt Sally in 5 years and you're embarrassed now because you don't want to call her about real estate because you haven't kept in touch with her in 5 years. That's really what people who say they don't have a sphere of influence, that's usually what they mean, right? And so if you can't make phone calls, can you send text messages? Can you send Facebook messages, direct messages on Facebook? I'm not talking posting on Facebook. I'm not talking about posting on Instagram. I'm talking about a text message. I'm going to read you a Facebook message that I use. I use this actively. I used this last week. I use it all the time. And so I'm going to pull it up. And here's what I say. This is one of the versions that I use. Hey there. Is it okay with you if I mailed you out a couple of my business cards just in case you come across anyone who might be looking to hire a really smart real estate professional that is a hustler? Hint, that's me. And then there's a little arrow that points to my little emoji. And I'm very cute online, just so you know. So if this is okay, just let me know the best address and email to send it to. Thanks a million, Leslie. And then I use a little heart. And so here's the response. And I got 10 of these literally last week. Oh man, absolutely, Leslie. It's great to hear from you. If you want to mail me anything, my address is blankety blank 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 Tin Can Alley. And my email is acuity@gmail.com. Can you do that, Julie?
Absolutely, that's a great idea.
Yeah, and so but here's where we fail. We fail because we do it one time, but we don't do it again. So how many times can you do this, and how can you do it without being a salesperson? Because nobody wants to be a salesperson, right? But we are salespeople. That's what we have to keep in mind. So then how can you add value? What, for instance, did the Fed drop the interest rate? So my text message would say, hey, Amy, it's been a while since we talked, but it's so important for me to get this message out. If you know anybody who's interested in buying a home right now, the interest rates are lower than they've ever been before. People are able to get more house today than they have been at any time in history. Next, I space, and then I ask, always end your questions with a call to action. Do you happen to know anyone who might be interested in buying a home? Question mark. Right? And so you're not selling, you're offering valuable information, because I happen to know that she has a college-aged daughter who's probably going to be looking to buy a house as soon as she graduates, right? Everybody's got their sphere of influence. So the key here is mark it on your calendar, make it consistent, offer value, and don't be douchey. You know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? Like, you have to learn to you have to learn how to build value with your sphere of influence, and then the people who you went to high school with, like all those Facebook people. How can you build value? How can you not be a salesperson? By building value. So what does that look like, right? I know a ton of people right now who need to sell houses, but they're scared because they don't understand the market. And so it's your job to talk to them about what's happening in our real estate market, and how that if you have a house to sell, this is the time right now. Do not be scared. A lot of people, you would be surprised, live in fear. Every decision they make or decision they don't make is based around fear. And so it's our job. I mean, don't you feel like you're doing people an injustice if you're not sharing the benefits that we could offer them through selling their house at a higher price based on inventory and demand, or offering them the opportunity to buy a $250,000 house when just 2 years ago, all they could afford was a $160,000 house? That's the difference between a 5% interest rate and a 2% interest rate. So don't you feel like it's your job to make that known to those people that you love and care about? I feel that way. And if I help enough people with that, then guess what? I get what I need immediately, right?
Once I was in the same, this is just a funny story. When you're talking about your sphere of influence, my first transaction was from my ex.
Oh, nice. Rita,
He was an REO specialist, so he gave me the first one, and he's giving me opportunity to do the next one. So even though it was a headache, the first one wasn't.
right. The first one's always a headache.
Now I'm going to do it. I'm just like, okay,
Yeah.
I can do it now. But yeah.
I thought you were gonna say the other day at a meeting with Chris Morris, her thing, and Charlotte Johnson was like, I don't operate out of fear. That's what I thought you were gonna say.
That's funny. I don't know if you can hear them in here, but Rita Patel just gave us a little tidbit that her first transaction was from her sphere of influence, and it was actually her ex. So that's interesting. Never say never, right? So guys, do y'all have your Prospecting Ignite Elementals worksheet and workbook? Do y'all have that printed out, or however you choose to use it? Did y'all know where to find that? I just want to make sure when I leave you with better. Then I don't want you to go, well, I didn't even know where to find my stuff or what to do. So the Facebook messages also work with text messaging as well. And you can kind of build a little program around your text messaging and your Facebook messaging. The other thing is, if anybody sends me a friend request on Facebook, I don't accept their friend request. I accept their friend request and then I send them a message. Oh, hey, don't we know each other through the Winn-Dixie line, 10 years ago? Oh, and by the way, I'm not sure if you knew, but I'm in real estate. What is it that you do? Do you see how that drops the real estate in there, builds a relationship, but then turns it around to add value back to them? Because people love to talk about themselves, don't they? So just keep in mind, a blind squirrel can go to the park and find a nut if he just goes there at least once a day. So are you entertaining your lead generation plan at least once a day, right? And it has to be like, you just have to do it. So Keller Williams says that we should be doing it from 9 to 11. I personally do 3 days a week and I do from 9 to 11, but then I've incorporated through COVID 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. because people are there. Most of the time they're home alone with their husband. I'm way better to talk to, right? Okay, well, last chance for any type of questions around building your lead generation or any other things that you need for prospecting.
Leslie, I was gonna ask you, who is your, you have a Mississippi license?
I do not have a Mississippi license.
Who's your referral person?
So I've been through a bunch of them. My latest is Jason Minardi. Why are you asking?
Because, I mean, I grew up in Mississippi, but I don't know anybody that's outside of like Jackson, Brandon, or Kosciuszko area.
Uh-huh.
And I do have some people that are trying to sell their home by themselves.
Oh, gotcha.
So I'm like, hope you refer that.
Yeah. So I have been through 3 agents now. So far, my most successful agent has been Jason Minardi, just so you know.
One that guy's here?
Yes.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did you know that he's licensed in Mississippi? Yep. Okay, guys. Well, I'm going to be signing off. Thank you for attending. It was good to see y'all, even if it was just virtual. I appreciate every one of you. And as always, Paul Vinny, if you need me, you call me. Pam, my phone is always open to you guys. And that goes to anyone else on the Zoom as well, if y'all need any help. So if y'all don't have any more questions or any concerns that I can help you with, thanks. Y'all have a great day.
Hey, Leslie, thank you so much. It was wonderful.
It's good to see
Yeah,
you.
you're
Thank you.
welcome. Thanks for coming.